the lights go black, the crowd erupts, and through the darkness, the unmistakable sound of motorcycle engines revs through the arena like a war cry that sends 20,000 people into absolute chaos. Roman Reigns is down. Seth Rollins is bleeding. The Vision stands over them like vultures circling their prey, ready to deliver one final, career-ending assault. And then it happens. That music hits. That leather jacket emerges through the smoke. Dean Ambrose is back, and he's brought hell with him. You think you've seen returns before? You think you've witnessed comebacks? What happened last night wasn't just a return. It was a resurrection. It was a man who disappeared into the shadows coming back to save the very brothers who once watched him walk away. And if you're not absolutely losing your mind right now, then you haven't been paying attention to what's really going on in this war. Because this isn't just about three guys teaming up again. This is about loyalty. This is about blood. This is about a bond that even betrayal, even time, even the absolute destruction of everything they built together couldn't break. And the Vision? They just woke up the one man they should have left sleeping. Let me take you back to that moment. That exact second when everything changed. The Vision had been decimating everyone in their path for months. Every legend who stepped up got destroyed. Every young star who thought they could make a name for themselves got erased. They called themselves the future, the evolution, the next generation that would wipe away the past. And they were doing exactly that. Week after week, body after body, victim after victim. They were unstoppable. Until last night, when they made the fatal mistake of targeting the Shield's legacy. Because you can attack a lot of things in this business. You can go after titles. You can go after pride. You can go after reputations. But when you go after family, when you try to erase the memory of the most dominant faction in modern wrestling history, that's when ghosts come back to life. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins have been carrying the weight of the Shield's legacy on their backs for years. They've defended it. They've honored it. They've made sure that every time someone mentions those tactical vests and that incredible theme music, people remember what it meant to be absolutely untouchable. But the Vision didn't care about legacy. They didn't care about respect. They wanted to prove that the old guard was finished, that the legends were done, that the past needed to be buried and forgotten. So they targeted Roman and Seth with a viciousness we haven't seen in years. Ambushes, beatdowns, humiliation after humiliation. They weren't just trying to win matches. They were trying to end careers. They were trying to make a statement written in blood and broken bones. And here's what made it so brutal, so personal, so absolutely devastating to watch. The Vision knew exactly what they were doing. They studied the Shield. They watched the old matches. They understood the tactics, the teamwork, the brotherhood. And they used all of that knowledge to systematically dismantle Roman and Seth. Every signature move got countered. Every comeback got cut off. Every moment where you thought the two former Shield brothers would rally and fight back, the Vision was one step ahead. It was like watching someone tear apart a masterpiece painting stroke by stroke, deliberately destroying something beautiful just to prove they could. For weeks, we watched Roman and Seth get beaten down, outnumbered, overwhelmed. And the question on everyone's mind was always the same. Where is Dean Ambrose? Where is the third brother? Where is the lunatic who would run through fire for his family? The answer? He was waiting, watching, preparing for the exact right moment to remind everyone why he's the most unpredictable, most dangerous, most absolutely insane competitor to ever step foot in a wrestling ring. Because Dean Ambrose doesn't do anything the easy way. He doesn't make standard returns with press conferences and announcements. He doesn't tweet about comebacks or drop hints on social media. When Dean Ambrose comes back, it's with leather and steel and the kind of raw, unfiltered violence that makes you remember why you fell in love with wrestling in the first place. This isn't a man who comes back for titles or glory or Hall of Fame speeches. This is a man who comes back because his brothers are bleeding, and that's the only reason he needs. The moment itself was poetry written in chaos. The Vision had Roman trapped in the corner, 3-on-1, delivering punishment that was sickening to watch. Seth tried to make the save and got absolutely destroyed for his effort, thrown through the announce table like he weighed nothing. The leader of the Vision grabbed a steel chair, standing over Roman with that arrogant smirk, ready to deliver a concerto that would have ended everything. The crowd was begging for someone, anyone to stop this massacre. And then the lights went out. In that darkness, you could feel 20,000 people holding their breath, hoping for a miracle they didn't quite believe would come. And when that music hit, when that leather jacket appeared through the smoke, when Dean Ambrose walked down that ramp with murder in his eyes, the roof didn't just come off the building. The entire arena transformed into a powder keg of emotion that exploded into the loudest reaction you'll hear all year. What happened next wasn't wrestling. It was war. Dean didn't slide into the ring. He didn't make some dramatic pose for the cameras. He sprinted down that ramp like a man possessed, diving into the Vision with a fury that was absolutely breathtaking. Punches, elbows, headbutts. He wasn't trying to win a match. He was trying to hurt people. And the Vision, for the first time since they formed, looked genuinely scared. Because you can prepare for technical wrestlers. You can game plan for powerhouses. You can strategize against high flyers. But how do you prepare for someone who doesn't care about winning or losing? Someone who only cares about making you feel pain? How do you fight someone who wrestles like every match might be his last and he wants to take you with him? The tide turned in seconds. Roman recovered, fire in his eyes. Seth pulled himself up from the wreckage of the announce table. And suddenly it wasn't 3-on-2 anymore. It was the Shield, reunited, standing together like the old days, like no time had passed at all, like the betrayals and separations and years apart meant nothing compared to the bond they forged in battle. They moved like they were still a unit. Roman's power. Seth's precision. Dean's unpredictability. It was a symphony of destruction, each man knowing exactly where the other would be, every move flowing seamlessly into the next. The Vision tried to regroup, tried to use their numbers advantage, tried to implement the strategy that had worked for months. But you can't strategize against destiny. You can't game plan against brotherhood. And you absolutely cannot prepare for the kind of violent poetry that three men who would die for each other can create when they're fighting together. If you're not subscribed to this channel yet, let me tell you something from the heart. We're not here to waste your time with clickbait or drama or manufactured nonsense. We're here because we love this business the way you love this business. We're here to break down these moments that make us remember why we became fans in the first place. The returns that give us goosebumps. The rivalries that consume us. The matches that we'll talk about for decades. And having you as part of this community, sharing these incredible moments with us, analyzing what they mean, discussing where things go from here, that's what makes this channel special. So if you're feeling even a fraction of what we're feeling about this Shield reunion, hit that subscribe button. Join this family. Because the best is yet to come, and you're going to want to be here for every second of it. Now let's talk about what this return really means, because it's so much deeper than just evening the odds or getting revenge. Dean Ambrose walking away from WWE years ago was one of the most shocking departures in modern wrestling. Here was a guy who had main event WrestleMania, who had held every major championship, who was one of the most popular stars in the entire industry, and he just left. No dramatic betrayal angle to write him off. No injury to explain his absence. He just decided he was done, and he walked away from everything. The speculation was endless. Would he ever come back? Did he burn too many bridges? Was the relationship too damaged to repair? And Roman and Seth carried on without him, forever incomplete, like a three-legged stool missing one leg, still standing but never quite balanced. The psychology of this return is what makes it so powerful. Because Dean didn't come back for himself. He didn't return because he missed the spotlight or needed one more championship run or wanted to make money. He came back because his brothers needed him. Period. That's it. That's the entire reason. And in an industry often criticized for being fake, for being predetermined, for being just entertainment, this felt real. This felt like something genuine in a world of carefully scripted promos and choreographed drama. The look on Roman's face when he saw Dean wasn't acting. The tears in Seth's eyes weren't for the cameras. The hug they shared in the middle of that ring, surrounded by the carnage of their enemies, that was real brotherhood transcending the business. That was three men who went to war together, who conquered the industry together, who fell apart and found each other again when it mattered most. The Vision made a critical error in their calculations. They saw the Shield as a relic, something from the past that deserved to be forgotten. But they didn't understand that some bonds don't break. Some legacies don't fade. Some factions aren't just groups of wrestlers who happen to team up for convenience. The Shield was a revolution. They changed wrestling. They rewrote the rules. They showed an entire generation what intensity, authenticity, and brotherhood could look like when three hungry, talented, absolutely fearless competitors decided to take over everything. And you don't kill legends. You don't erase history. You don't destroy something that powerful just because time has passed. The Vision thought they were building their legacy by tearing down the Shields. What they actually did was give the Shield a reason to remind everyone why they're the gold standard, why they're the measuring stick, why every faction since has been compared to them and found wanting. The implications for what comes next are staggering. The Vision has been unstoppable, but now they're going to war with three men who know each other better than they know themselves. Three men who have main event the biggest shows in the world. Three men who have held every championship worth holding. Three men who, individually, are dangerous enough to change any match. But together? Together they're something else entirely. Together they're the most dominant force in wrestling history. And the Vision, for all their talent and youth and strategy, are about to learn a lesson that many have learned before them. You don't poke the bear. You don't awaken sleeping giants. And you absolutely, under no circumstances, ever go after a Shield Brothers family, because the other two will come for you with a vengeance that knows no limits. This is just the beginning of what's going to be an absolute war. The Vision won't back down. They can't. Their entire reputation is built on being the future, on destroying the past. But the Shield? They don't back down either. They never have. They've beaten every legend, defeated every faction, overcome every obstacle put in front of them, and now, reunited, with all the experience and wisdom that comes from years at the top, they're more dangerous than they've ever been. This isn't 3 young hungry kids trying to make a name anymore. This is 3 men who have nothing left to prove and everything to protect. This is personal. This is family. This is the kind of feud that main events WrestleMania and creates moments that define eras. Dean Ambrose made his return heard around the world last night. The lunatic fringe is back. The Shield is whole again. And the Vision just went from hunters to hunted. What happens next is going to be absolute must-see television, and you're going to want to be here breaking it down with us every step of the way. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us what you felt when that music hit. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know who needs to see this moment. Because this is why we love this crazy, beautiful, unpredictable business. This is what wrestling is all about. Welcome back, Dean Ambrose. The Shield is complete. And the Vision's nightmare has only just begun.